certification will also be provided by end of this month. So good afternoon, friends and professionals. I, Dr. Vani Parvez, Assistant Professor, Chitkara College of Education, Chitkara University, and the convener as well as the moderator of the program, feel honored and privileged to welcome our resource person, Mr. Bhavesh Swami, National Manager, Clean Energy, the Climate Reality Project India, and our guest, Mr. Hitesh Kumar Gulati, Honorable Director General, APS WTP, to commemorate National Energy Conservation Week 2021, today on 20th of December 2021, through a virtual program on entrepreneurship opportunities in the energy sector. We are all delighted to witness the deliberation from an expert in energy conservation and climate change. It is indeed a pleasure to receive registrations from many states across India like Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Chandigarh, New Delhi, Gujarat, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Odisha, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and across borders, including Dubai. We welcome the august gathering of participants from diverse occupations, including academician, business consultant, corporate sector professional, corporate social responsibility professional, development practitioners, entrepreneur, government officers, public expert health, legal practitioners, researchers, social activists, students, and others. Let me now give you the program background. Aligned to the objectives of National Energy Conservation Day 2021 to spread mass awareness among people about the importance and necessity of energy efficiency and conservation, Chitkara College of Education, Chitkara University has conceived a virtual program on entrepreneurship opportunities in the energy sector in partnership with the Climate Reality Project India and Association of Professional Social Workers and Development, with an aim to work together with academic institutions and organizations, government and communities. On this Energy Conservation Day on 14th of December 2021, Ms. Pallavi writes an article in Hindustan Times quoting that global shortage of energy resources has largely contributed to the climate change in today's times. This is why it has become imperative to find alternatives. For instance, sustainable energy conservation. To raise mass awareness about the importance of efficient energy conservation, India observes National Energy Conservation Day every year on 14th of December. This day, it is also called as Energy Efficiency Day. This year, the theme of National Energy Conservation Day, as announced by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency India, are Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Energy Efficient India, and Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Clearer Planet. In the year 2001, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency of India, the constitutional body that guides the government to create energy-saving policies and events, had implemented the Energy Conservation Act. This was followed by the declaration of Energy Conservation Day. Since then, this day has been widely celebrated across the country. The objective of a National Energy Conservation Day is to make people aware of the necessity of energy efficiency and conservation. The day addresses the way in which we as a society can judicially conserve energy by substituting non-renewable energy resources with the renewable ones and reducing the overall energy consumption. National Energy Conservation Day also focuses on the fact that the only and most effective, cost-saving solution to energy shortage across the India is conservation of energy. In fact, it is a more sustainable option than enhancing energy output. May I now introduce and welcome our keynote orator of the day, Mr. Bhavesh Swami, National Manager, Clean Energy, Climate Reality Project India. On behalf of our Principal Convener, Dr. Sangeeta Pant, Dean, Chitkara College of Education, I, Dr. Vani Parvez, would like to extend gratitude to you, sir, for accepting our request to share your expertise with all of us today. Before I begin, I would now like to introduce you to the audience. Mr. Bhavesh Swami has more than 14 years of experience working with national and international organizations, government bodies, policy institutes, and NGOs in various capacities. He helped set up the ball rolling for NCR's biggest renewable energy park in Gurgaon, a collective effort by the Ministry of New and ADEME, the French Development Agency. Working on the World Bank and GEF project, he helped percolate benefits of resource efficiency among the Indian SME fraternity. His project with the Indian industries has helped reduce 2 million tons of CO2 over its cumulative time frame. These efforts got featured in India's submission at UNFCCC's as a project worth emulating. He is a climate reality leader and a mentor and has engaged a range of stakeholders, including students, teachers, high level government officials, civic society representatives at national and international level. So that was a brief about Mr. Bhavesh. We are fortunate to be learning from a great climate leader today. Without any further ado, I would now like to invite Mr. Swami to please enlighten all of us on the National Energy Conservation Week under the theme Entrepreneurship Opportunities in the Energy Sector. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the great words out there and debated onto that part. And really happy to see a great number of entrepreneurs, student community joining in out here. So I hope my screen is visible out there.
Yes, sir, it is.
Great, great, great. So what we are trying to analyze out today is the energy sector and essentially entrepreneurship opportunities that are available for one and all. There is a lot of deliberation going on which says that jobs kahan hai? Where are the job opportunities for us, the youth? We'll try to see as to what these opportunities are, especially as ma'am rightly said in the sustainable energy portfolio in times to come. Let this be the beginning. We'll try to see what this energy debate is all about. What is in fact energy, the renewables, non-renewables part of it, and we'll also focus on the energy efficiency side of it. So energy, as we all know, is something that fuels us as food, and for non-living entities, this is one form of energy changing to another form for various things that happen across the globe 24/7. Various formats, obviously renewables, non-renewables, the very name suggests those can be replenished and those can't be. Here are some of the examples for you from various sources of energy. A quick question for the audience, what type of nuclear energy it is for that matter? Is it renewable source of energy or non-renewable source of energy? And same goes for, say, hydroelectric. Can someone just put up in the chat as to what nuclear and hydroelectric forms of energy are? Very quickly. Ma'am, are you seeing the answers? You can just let me know.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. So someone said non-renewables. Essentially, India is taking nuclear as renewable as of now. Hydroelectric, obviously, large hydro is considered non-renewable, and small hydro is considered renewable source of energy. We'll try to dive deep on this subject and understand them in detail as well. Now, unfortunately, even after that much of hullabaloo, after that much of understanding, 40% of energy till date across the globe is being generated by non-renewable source of energy, essentially coal. And this is what this debate of non-zero is all about. The net zero that was the most prominent discussion at the UNFCCC deliberation just a month ago, were focusing on this very aspect as to how we can move beyond coal. We'll try to understand what these phenomena are all about. Good or bad part is that India alone is not responsible. Across the globe, if you see countries, whether it's China, whether it's India, whether it's United States, the majority source of emissions is essentially their energy requirement. We ought to move it towards the renewable energy portfolio. We need to move it towards the energy efficiency portfolio. And that's how we are able to achieve that 1.5, 2.5, 3 degrees debate that is happening across the globe. On India's part, we are unfortunately even ahead of world curve. We are not at 40, we are not at 50, we are at 60% of our overall energy portfolio being generated or coming from non-renewable sources of energy. Unfortunately, they also account for major source of our pollutions and emissions as well. Diving deep on the curve, 61% to be precise, and if I deliberate it further, Coal accounts for more than 50% of it. Good part, renewable energy, which were trending at something like 10% just a decade ago, have moved to 24-25% of late. This is among the biggest transition taking place from across the OPEC, from across the globe, from across the countries that are moving in this direction. We are doing good, but this needs to be taken ahead in a more prominent way. Data suggests us that we have a standing of 3,44,000 megawatt in the current scenario, 6,56,000 megawatt projected just in the next decade. If I counter in renewable energy portfolio, we are currently standing at say 50 gigawatt, 45 gigawatt or so. Now we need to move much faster. Energy efficiency portfolio, if taken into account, can do wonders. We'll see the numbers, what they say. And why does India matter? Because the kind of size we have, because the kind of bigness we have, it really matters. The globe is looking to us, the world community is looking to us as to what India does in terms of achieving its sustainable development objectives. Good part, we have made good progress on those aspects. Now, energy doesn't mean electricity only. It is clean cooking as well. It is renewables also, and it is energy efficiency also. The kind of thing that is happening as far as LED is concerned, the kind of things that are happening as far as clean cooking, this LPG distribution is concerned, we are trending number 1 or 2 across the globe. Good, satisfying theories out there. And if you look at the graph quite decently out here, quite importantly out here, number of people without access to electricity, see the margin that India has achieved, see the margin that India has reduced out here. Now this is important. We all understand energy is important. It ought to be supplied to our people, and there would be associated emissions onto that part. If we are able to have development also going on and have lesser emissions also taking place, nothing like it. And this is what is shown in one of the sectors as far as biomass is concerned. So biomass usage has also dropped drastically. Unfortunately, this is not spoken in the mainframe of it. We'll try to deliberate on it. At the same time, the debate on solar, wind, etc. is going on, and I'm happy to share we have one of the world's largest single location solar energy power plant in India of late now, almost 5,000 megawatt at a single location. These are unprecedented across the globe. Only 1 or 2 countries have these kind of things happening out there. In terms of wind also, we stand quite tall, almost 5th in the entire globe. And then grid parity has also been achieved. For the non-technical ones, grid parity is when price of one generation source is comparable to another source of generation. And at this point, I'm talking of coal and solar based generation. They have achieved the same level in tune of something like 2 rupees. Then why are we not moving ahead? Well, that's not the case. Governments across the globe are doing best possible efforts. And if you see India's effort in this scenario, we have shelled off almost 86 coal-based power plants of late, though a number of newer power plants are in the pipeline, but the number of shelled ones are equally important so that India move towards that transition. So where do you stand? If I say tomorrow is calling for you students, where is the future heading towards? Where are you and me standing in this whole debate? If you look at India's total, say, energy future, energy access is one part we talked of. Without energy, there is no development. Energy security 24/7, 12/7 is something that is spoken of. There are lesser numbers as of now if we speak of entire Indian spectrum, but we are trying to achieve the most possible out of it. Then energy sustainability, which is the renewable sources of energy. Energy efficiency, as I told you, low-hanging fruit that can be taken up as a career opportunity in times to come. So what should be our step-by-step direction in this domain? Obviously, the first step is the toughest one. You might feel that मेरे लिए इसमें क्या है, what I am doing out here or what I am achieving out here. Just take a baby step and let me tell you, nothing is impossible. Let's do a small test. What's wrong in this picture? Can anybody tell me very quickly? What's wrong out here? Well, a lot of emissions are taking place. This is incomplete combustion taking place out here, and we better call it CO2 emissions. Very inefficient conversion. Yes, very true. And what are we doing in a routine village scenario? What's happening out here? We are providing fuel out there. We are providing burning fuel for the wood to burn better. Now, these are inefficient sources of energy. This is an efficient source. How come it is efficient? There is complete combustion that is taking place, and there is more oxygen that is being provided under this fire tubes. That's very simple part of it. Across the length and breadth of our country, we are seeing those kind of inefficiencies taking place. Humble request to you, let this be your first journey in terms of going to a village, meeting people out there, helping them understand what this clean cooking is all about. As we call Jugaad, our version of it is not different. In case we are not able to purchase, say, a 700 rupees kind of a chula out there, this is something which our dear lady has done. Nothing wrong in it. Most efficient chula that is available across. Good part, 60% of India still relies on traditional cook stoves. Injurious to health, lot of health issues taking place to our woman folklore. Going in a bit more debate, this is what the energy predictions are. I shared the most basic example with you. This is something which is most important thing that would be taking place in times to come. You can take a screenshot of it. The kind of energy demand that is taking place in the industries would be the highest. Transportation, nothing less. Cooking is also out there. Building efficiency also matters. Pumps, tractors, telecom, all the sectors where you can see an opportunity for yourself. Good part, technical education matters, but non-technical education is also equally welcome to enter into this sphere. Nothing technical about it. Building efficiencies, unfortunately or fortunately, we are talking of EVs, we are talking of various sources of energy, but building infrastructure that is there to sustain for the next 100 years, for the next 150 years, that should be made the most efficient one. Unfortunately, there are no off-the-shelf consultants available. There are no off-the-shelf shops available for us to guide us as to what a building efficiency improvement can be. There are details available. Bureau of Energy Efficiency, as Madam pointed out, is working quite hard in terms of achieving these scales. People who are working in the architecture domain, people who are working in the civil domain can definitely find an opportunity for themselves. And 40% of total usage, much ahead of transportation or industries, is happening at industries. Lighting, cooling, appliances for the official space, for the workplaces that are still to be built, need your attention in terms of taking up one of the areas and putting in a thrust to going for LEDs, to going for more efficient appliances out there. Ma'am was speaking of Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So Bureau of Energy Efficiency under Government of India's EC Act 2001 has divided itself into various domains which speak of demand side management, star rating of appliances, enhanced energy efficiency portfolio, passenger electric vehicle, building efficiency awareness, and institutional mechanism to achieve these objectives of energy efficiency. As someone always asks, what is government doing? So the kind of effort that government have put in terms of PAT is perform, achieve, trade, will be speaking on detail. 50% plus energy efficiency achievement. We are speaking of 175 gigawatt of total solar energy. This is even greater than that in terms of having absolute numbers of energy saved. Huge scope for you to enter in this domain and find an opportunity for yourself. So where do you and me stand? Let's try to understand. If this gentleman sitting out there can understand the value of solar energy, I am pretty sure you are ahead of the curve. We understand much better than it standing with binoculars with our education. Across India, mobiles have become indispensable. Mobile charging, one mobile charge costs something like rupees 10 in eastern belt of India. At many parts of India, this becomes an opportunity, an entrepreneurship opportunity, not for you, but for the last man standing probably at your village who can find an system of such a thing working on solar energy and charging the mobile phones out there. Agriculture is the culture of India. We used to have single location energy generation sources via, say, solar pumps, via solar based drip irrigation. Now these are innovations happening across India where people are renting out such solar trolleys. They can go to your field for 2 hours, 4 hours, as much as things are required. As we move ahead, they can be rented out further. These are the kind of developments that are taking place. You to become an entrepreneur taking a shape. 60% of India still depend on livestock for their day-to-day earnings, for their livelihood as far as agriculture sector is concerned, and it requires these kind of products. They can also run on solar energy. This one is working on solar energy for that matter. Women entrepreneurship, women are working on this kind of stuff to produce day-to-day ghee and makhan. They are also run on solar energy because daytime, early morning energy, if not available, things get stuck. With these kind of solutions, they can produce energy for themselves. They can do their day-to-day kitchen work out there and find a source of livelihood, which is quite important as far as rural India is concerned. As I said, across the eastern and some part of southern India, you'll find these kind of shops selling a whole lot of variety of appliances. Appliances such as these are running entirely on solar energy, totally non-dependent on grid, because there are power cuts of 12 to 14 hours. Just imagine a newborn baby which requires more of a shade, more of a cooling effect, can be provided by these kind of solutions. Then you can help out a differently challenged person. This is an image from Bangalore. This gentleman has been helped with a solar based working trolley where he sells tea, coffee and other day-to-day items on a stretch of 1 kilometer. Please help the destitute. Please help a differently able find a source of livelihood with your efforts. This lady, probably younger than you and me, figured out that coal-based ironing is not sustainable. She devised out this solution where his cart is running on solar energy. The press is getting charged via a battery and inverter system kept underneath, and zero emissions taking place. Just imagine at every nook and corner of India, we find such a scene taking place, how efficient things can get. Thanda matlab Coca-Cola, they to understand the power of cold drinks being served cold as it should be, and they are moving in the rural parts of India where probably electricity is not available 24/7. But if a customer comes and asks for a solution like this, you become the change maker and put deliberation in terms of providing solutions. Thanda matlab Coca-Cola, and you become a part of the solution regime. You might see, we might see that these ladies probably illiterate out there, but they are most literate ones as far as solar energy portfolio is concerned in the rural arena. These lanterns are running on solar energy, and they are better known as solar mamas. So one of the NGOs is working in Rajasthan and now in major part of Africa as well in terms of training these ladies, which go back to their villages, to their neighborhood, and rent out those solar based lanterns for the night usage for a particular sum of money. In India's case, this is 10 rupees per night. Entrepreneurship opportunity, this lady trains them to that extent so that they find a source of livelihood at their home. Portable solar solutions, put it on a rickshaw, take it to the field, deploy it, and you have your pumps running just with the solar green source of energy. Entrepreneurship opportunities at the village level. Just imagine 60% of India is still waiting for it. Energy efficiency, obviously it matters, as we spoke of low-hanging fruit, how it can be done. Start at your home, try to do an energy audit, see how many electrical appliances are there, what is the energy efficiency portfolio that is being fed or that is being used out from these sources, and try to move towards a more efficient source of it. No doubt, no rocket science about it. The kind of incandescent bulb that we used to have been switched over to CFLs and now to LED bulbs with almost a fraction of cost going up, but they are more efficient in the long term of it. As I was speaking of, those 3 stars, 4 stars at your home should be replaced by 5 stars. Why? Because we don't change appliances that fast. Imagine an air conditioner at your home, how long it has been running or serving you, probably 7 or 8 years. So try going in for the best efficient available at that point of time across the globe, across the markets. Now, there is a study on behavioral energy efficiency which speaks of 3,400 to 10,000 gigawatt hour per annum by 2030. These are huge numbers. If we are able to achieve just 1 to 3% of energy saving per household, just imagine your and mine household saving 5% of energy, and we can save that much for India. Such consultants are not available across the market. You become one. Pump sets. Again, I focus on agriculture sectors. As they go wrong, they require maintenance, they require operational efficiency. Unfortunately, such things are available some 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers from the village level. They need more and more efficient solutions being provided. You become one. In the first go, rewinding of motors is not prescribed. Let me tell you, across the length and breadth of India, there is not even a single rewinder which gives you a certification that I have achieved an efficiency of X. The motor that was running with X efficiency in its original avatar, after rewinding becomes less and less efficient. Even with the best of rewinding, this is not possible. So if you are able to provide a technical solution with the best efficiency possible, with the best wiring, with the best copper available, you are able to achieve probably 85% efficiency. A certified efficiency is still not available across the length and breadth of India. You become one in terms of providing the same. Government of India's effort are quite vigilant on that part. We are just speaking of 2% of India's efficiency approval, and these are more than the total solar energy being deployed off date. That's the kind of potential that it is having. Coming back to your homes, there is probably 6 or 7 fans at your household. Any idea how much does a fan wattage is? Open question to anyone. Just skip in the chat. What's the wattage of a fan out there at our homes? (72 watts). that's sorry, 70 watts. The most efficient fan available in the market today is 28 watts. Just imagine 1/3 of it. One fan at your household in a summer month or across South India running 24/7 or 18/7. How much energy saving is possible just by one fan in your lobby area, in your dining room, in your living room? 8 hours of operation, 1/3 of energy. These facts are to be made more and more widely available to people. you become the solution providers by taking a note of such things. And by the way, this is part of the standard and labeling program of Government of India that Madam was speaking of. Then there was, then we spoke of PAT, the perform, achieve, treatment. I'm happy to share of a single unit being generated, say a kilogram or 100 gram, aluminium, cement, and fertilizer. Across the globe, India is #1 in terms of efficiency achievement. Just imagine cement sector across the globe. Across the globe, it's quite huge. We are #1 efficient manufacturer as far as a single unit is concerned. So if China is making it at 10 rupees a kilogram, India is making it at 9 rupees kilogram. The kind of resource efficiency, the kind of energy efficiency that is being achieved by these phenomena is huge, phenomenal. We require more and more technocrats. We require more and more solution providers. Probably a fertilizer plant is running at your vicinity, at your locality, at your neighborhood. They require engineers in terms of suggesting them what can be done. You become a solution providers to them. Biomass energy. Unfortunately, the kind of stubble burning that is taking place, the kind of other biomass residual burning that is taking place, not sustainable. Government of India's effort, private efforts are there, but still a lot of scope is available to have generation via this kind of biomass based power generation. Everyone is speaking of smart, and in times to come, obviously there is a smart grid environment that would be fueling our economy. So there would be two-way communication taking place from every kind of sphere, whether it is residential building, those PV solars, or for that matter, EVs. We didn't spoke of EVs earlier. Let's still try to see what is happening at this in this domain. There is a lot of talk on e-vehicles. There is a lot of talk on e-buses, e-scooters, but we are talking less and less of these. India is #2 as far as electric three-wheeler mobility is concerned. And this is not in our day-to-day conversation. We are speaking more of e-cars. We need to improvise their efficiency because they are providing last mile connectivity to us. Last mile connectivity, 10 minutes grocery delivery, 10 minutes of your essential delivery, they are coming on these kind of vehicles. They are providing you services. We are talking, though we have woken up to them, but still huge scope is available as far as these kind of e-cycles, e-bikes are concerned. Ola recently, just 2-3 years ago, experimented with the a petrol pump kind of infrastructure there, where they were charging EVs, running it across in the city and seeing the efficiency or sustainability pattern in a smart city of Nagpur. Unfortunately, they were not successful because the vehicle need to be charged for 3 hours, 4 hours at length, and that was affecting the earning potential. What's the scope? Swapping. Swapping of batteries not only reduces the initial cost of the overall cost, which is something in tune of 40% of the vehicle, but it's like a plug and go. You have a less charged battery, you bring it here and you swipe it, take another one, and simple, you can run your vehicle day, night, across the time frames. And franchises of these technologies are open across India. You go on Delhi-Chandigarh highway, you go across ECR road down south, the kind of charging infrastructure that is taking place needs attention from technocrats, need attention from youth like you to take the plunge and find a career opportunity in this domain. Since we are talking of youth, can you identify the brand out there? Someone? Youth are interested? Great, someone is speaking. Revolt. Yes, my friend, this is Revolt, and they have changed the very scenario of e-mobility. Earlier, we used to go to market and purchase a vehicle. See the kind of thing that they have done. 4,000 rupees and you bring a bike for you. They are having a booking of something like 6 to 8 months. These are e-motorcycles. You swap your batteries, you charge your batteries, depending upon you, this is battery agonistic product, 4,000 rupees, and you're good to go. Just imagine, this is almost like a pocket money for a student, and they are running on a sustainable mode of communication. The kind of opportunity it provides, the kind of motivation it provides for someone to plunge into this sector. Huge opportunities available. If we are able to deliberate, if we are able to follow the above patterns, the energy demand that is going up can probably be made sustainable. Associated power consumption, despite increase in energy demand, can be lowered with energy efficiency. And good part is, whether it's India, whether it's China, it would be helpful for each and everyone across the globe. I just pointed out some of the areas which are available for you and me to plunge into. Details are available across the internet. I am available on this email ID. You can take a screenshot of it. Contact me any day, contact me via email. I'll be more than happy to provide deep dive into the specific sector that probably you might be having questions for. Ma'am, over from my side, back to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Swami. It was such an enlightening session. I'm sure we all have learned a lot. Especially, there are a lot of new things that we've learned about, like EVs that we talked about, and these bike systems that we talked about. It was truly enlightening session, sir. And we also, thank you for sharing with us about what, how, and all the steps which can be taken to conserve energy, and also about the entrepreneurship opportunities in the energy sector, sir. This is truly something new for most of us, and has definitely broadened our horizons, sir. And I'm sure many of us must be thinking of becoming an entrepreneur after your enlightening session. Thank you so much. Now I would like to open the stage for questions. If anybody would like to ask, please raise your hand and we will unmute you. You may also write in the chat box so that we can pick up the questions from there. All right, so I'm getting one question here, that in comparison to India, how much renewable energy is being utilized or used by other countries?
Okay, great question. See, India, as we say and speak of, is a developing country. As you go across the European Union, at some point of time, almost 90, 95, 98% of their energy is being generated on a good solar and windy day via those sources. Germany is a great example. Britain is a great example. So these kind of energy portfolio are essentially dependent on a country and the location it is having. As far as India is concerned, we are trending at something like 25 to 30% as of now. But good part is that we are moving in that curve in a good speed, in a good time frame to move ahead. So that's probably the answer to that.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. I'm also getting a question from a student, Davinder. She's asking which is the best renewable source of energy and why?
Great question. Again, solution lies on where the country is situated. For a country that's closer to equator, probably solar is the solution for that. Wind is not that prevalent near equators, but as soon as you go to New Zealand, for that matter, the essential source of energy at that point of at that country is essentially wind energy. As soon as you move towards the northern part of the globe, say to Canada, the source of energy out there is small hydro. The biggest source of energy available in Canada is hydro energy. So it depends on the kind of country portfolio we are in. They are all sources of renewable energy, so to say.
All right, sir. That was very enlightening, sir. Thank you. Sir, I would like to personally ask you, what all programs or initiatives and steps have been taken by the government of India to promote renewable energy? Because like you just mentioned about the bikes and the EVs, we were not very aware. Maybe there was some steps for mass awareness, sir. So what all things have been taken by the government of India?
Yeah, see, good part is we are entering into the conversation of smart cities. There are good number of smart cities being developed. One of the fundamental aspects in these smart cities is efficient use of energy. So this becomes transport agonistic, this becomes department agonistic, because your municipality is involved, your local vehicle domains, the local buses sector, those are involved, and those private sectors, say things running on a shared auto or things like that, are all also involved. So that becomes the whole scenario to it. But still, kind of energy that we use for pumping water, for treatment of sewage, for running of vehicle from point A to point B, say a bus, and the associated lighting in the night hours are essential usage, means higher usage of energy available to us. We need to see how efficiency can take place to these things, and government has devised out municipal energy programs, those e-vehicle programs, specifically to have more and more efficiency percolating in.
All right, sir. Thank you. I can see Shikha Razdan. Shikha, would you like to ask something? Then you may raise your hand and we will unmute you. Shikha, would you like to ask? You just raise your hand if anybody would like to ask. I request Mr. Surinder, can you unmute Shikha? All right, in the meanwhile, sir, as we talked about, everything is, the energy is so expensive now. So, I'm getting a question here in the chat box that how can renewable energy be cost effective? Because cost is something which we all look into.
See, if we, indeed a great question. Good part is, if we look at the long-term horizon, I'm happy to share the place where your university is situated. Yes. Punjab was the first state which promoted solar-based irrigation. Almost 25, 28 years ago. There is a debate going on that after 25 years, what's the durability, or what's the lifespan for these solar modules. I'm happy to share that these solar modules don't die out after 25 years. Their efficiency goes lower. So if they were generating something like 3 kilowatt, they are probably generating 2 kilowatt after 20 years or 25 years of operation. Augmenting it with newer solar, you can use it. Good thing with Punjab entrepreneurs are, they are putting it on their houses. They are taking it off from that field. They are putting it on petrol pumps. They are putting it at various other usage where lower load was being deliberated out on it. So that's the kind of usage pattern that is being developed.
All right, so that is really nice. I think Shikha has raised her hand. Shikha, you can speak now.
Yes, sir. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, my question was like, you have said that, yes, of course, so about solar energy and solar power plants, everybody knows, but there are still some people who are not aware about it. And even if they are knowing, they still don't go for it. So these sort of issues are there in our society, as even I have seen. So what initiatives do we require for that?
Start small. Gift a solar-based charger to someone on his birthday. Let me tell you, your iPhone would be running 1 year extra if you charge via that solar-based energy. How and why? Because that's direct current which is charging your battery at the mobile phone. That's also DC powered. The wiring that the energy that is coming from that solar module is also DC powered, and that's how you inculcate a habit of moving towards renewable energy to the affluent ones. For the semi-affluents, grown audience, try to see appliances that have longer longevity associated with it, long-term usage associated with it. For example, staircase lighting. They are probably running for 8 to 10 hours in the night time, in overall terms, outdoors. If you have solar deployed at your rooftop, just 2 modules, and have an associated battery with it, your things are running across night without fueling, 8 hours, 10 hours of operation, lesser consumption, you'll feel that it is saving for me. So those are some of the smaller options to begin out with. And obviously you can move towards 3 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt in times to come as you get enriched by the saving potentials.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the answer. But sir, usually the I've seen solar power plants and solar cells installed in Himachal. And once I had a chance to speak to one of the family there. They were using these solar cells and all for their, they don't have this battery backup in their flats and all. So, but they complained that when there is when the sun is not there, it's cloudy. So they don't get, the light problem is there. They don't get proper light. So maybe because of this, I feel that people go for easier things, like because it works on the solar energy. So every time, like in winters, we can't see sun outside. So maybe it's because of that they people prefer to go for the easy things.
Yeah, Shikha ji, and good analogy to it is, जीवन में आसान कुछ भी नहीं है, थोड़ा सा एफर्ट तो कहीं ना कहीं करना पड़ेगा.
Yes.
If you have solar energy available to you,
Yes.
it's just a matter of battery power that needs to be augmented, and it becomes a 24/7 solution for us. If the gentleman is enterprising enough, there is a solar wind hybrid model also available that is applicable across Gujarat, that is applicable across Himachal as well, Uttarakhand as well, because we have good amount of wind available. So a 1 kilowatt or a 2 kilowatt system of augmented wind energy can provide a good solution for that gentleman out there. Please ask him to contact you for it next time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm getting a lot of questions in my direct messages. I think there's a question from Ms. Chakrabarti. In a country like India, where energy resources are diverse, should we focus on area-wise harvesting of different renewable energy?
Should we focus on harvesting? What was that?
Wise harvesting of different renewable energies.
Obviously, harvesting of different sources of energy is something we ought to look forward to. I spoke of grid parity. Now, grid parity is the very same thing. If I'm getting 2 rupees of generation via coal and 2 rupees via solar or wind energy, I need to introspect where are the lesser emissions taking place and take a decision or vice case accordingly. Good part is across the globe, countries are understanding this perspective. In the current scenario, unfortunately, after COVID, the supply side is getting less and less. There is enough demand available from the globe. We are not able to provide solutions of late. That's the irony of it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm also getting a question from Mr. Ganesh. I request you if you can write your message, write your question rather than sending an attachment, because I'm unable to download it. In the meanwhile, I will take a question from Mr. Monk. How do we get access to the solar pump if I want to start up on this?
In case you are a student, please contact your mechanical energy department out there. They are the best electrical department out there. The professor out there is the gentleman who probably knows in and out of it through and through. Beyond and besides that, whichever state you are in, there is a state renewable energy department agency, which is associated with DC's office, the Deputy Commissioner's office. It's essentially under the additional DC, ADC, which is called in a routine scenario. So please contact their office. They have entire range of solutions that are available from the government side. Beyond and besides this, good part is nowadays IITs have been opened up in almost every state. IIT Ropar is one good platform where one can write, and really happy to share. They are an enterprising bunch out there. They'll definitely help you out. In case you are not able to find solution, I'll help you introduce to them.
All right, so that was really nice. I request Mr. Surinder from IT that can you please unmute Mr. Ganesh Arkut. In the meanwhile, I'll take a question from Mr. Gaurav from the audience. So his question is, do you think India can achieve a good balance between solar, wind and nuclear energy to balance the grid stability and cost offsets?
Yeah, indeed, as I said earlier, the kind of cumulative deployment that have taken place in the last 10 years is unprecedented. Only China is something which is ahead of us in the curve. Beyond and besides this, in terms of developing countries, I'm happy to share the kind of development that we have shown is phenomenal. The kind of incredible work that has taken place is really phenomenal as far as RE deployment is concerned.
All right, sir. Thank you. I now request Mr. Ganesh to kindly ask.
Thank you very much, Vani ma'am. Thank you very much, Bhavesh sir, for that wonderful presentation. I had a quick question. I know you talked about EV vehicles, and when I look around, even if it is a Tesla car, they end up using a lot of lithium batteries. I mean, you do all the solar thing, but then you still have to store that power somewhere, and that power is stored in lithium batteries. Now, everybody knows that lithium batteries, when we try to manufacture those, they are still not energy efficient. They are still not a source which is renewable. They are still not, we are still wiping away the natural resources of the earth. Now, what I wanted to ask is, I mean, are there, different sources of energy that we can store this solar power to be able to better tap, as then we can truly call it a renewable energy source, and truly, the EV vehicles will make a difference. Apart from lithium batteries, is there anything else that you are aware of that we can invest in India or elsewhere?
Great question out there. Indeed, sir. Just imagine, before lithium, coal was the source. Before lithium, petroleum was the source, gas was the source. Unfortunately, world doesn't want to talk about it because they have been historic polluters. So they are not pointing. If a finger is pointed upon our own self, we try to rock that out.
Okay.
Good thing is, within the Indian portfolio itself, there are 10 or probably 11 different sources of battery product portfolios that are invested upon. They are being deliberated upon beyond hydrogen. Hydrogen as a source of running a vehicle is being used in Korea extensively, without an accident, without a hassle, without a thing. It has been there for ages. We in India, unfortunately, are not that advanced so as to have a hydrogen bus running. There is one running in Parliament since last 2 years. They are also experimenting on it. But I'm happy to share that we do understand this problem that you rightly pointed out. Lithium is a bad source. Beyond and besides that, it is a very finite source. The kind of lithium available across the globe, across Bolivia, across those African nations, is a very small proponent, which is not even going to sustain us for the next 10 years, so to say, with the kind of gigawatt scale of battery storage that we are building in. I'm happy to share IIT Bombay is already working beyond say lithium. I'll be happy to share, have your email address and have more details shared with you on the battery technologies that they are investing in.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, sir. Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Swami. In fact, I would request you, sir, that, in the end, you may please share your contact number and email ID with all our audience so that, they can also get in touch with you for more information. I have a question personally, sir, being an educationist myself. I would like to ask you that what all should be added in the school or college curriculum to educate students about renewable energy?
Green birthdays are something to begin with. Birthdays are very special to someone. So what are you giving to them on a birthday? There are enough solar-based toys, solar-based caps, solar-based games available to a toddler, to a kid who is probably in his 5th or 8th class. Beyond and besides this, they have already ventured out into bicycles, into e-vehicles. So think of giving them an e-bicycle for that matter, gradually moving towards an e-bike from a papa or a mama who is taking a plunge onto that path. Let me tell you, that sustainability aspect is going to stay with him for his entire life. When he or she is making a decision in his life, in terms of making a house, in terms of making a car or a bike purchase, he would definitely think for planet Earth, for Mother Earth in times to come.
Absolutely, sir. That was a wonderful suggestion. We'll definitely try and incorporate it. I have 1 or 2 more questions lined up, but before that, I would like to mention to all the participants that in the chat box, a feedback link has been shared with all of you. I request you to kindly give us, follow that link and please give us your feedback regarding today's webinar. And this will also help us to make our sessions even more productive in future, as well as to give you a certification for today's webinar. So I've given you the link. In the meanwhile, you can may fill it. In the meanwhile, I'll take two to three more questions before we wind up. So what according to you is a smart city? And what should be the parameters to develop or switch to a smart city? This is something I think we really need to work on.
Indeed. So when I speak of a city like Ropar, which is probably moving into the arena of smart city, please don't destroy your natural habitat. That's the single biggest request to the authorities. In terms of making something smart, we are probably hampering the local environment. That is something not advisable. Please think what is the most suitable local technology, all the local resources available. For example, the water drainage system. In case there was a canal, in case there was a natural water drainage system available, what we are doing is we are deliberately digging it up, making a road out on it, and then moving an artificial flow of water source running parallel to it. When there is heavy rain, when there is flooding, unfortunately, the kind of thing that get developed is something that goes heavy. That is happening across India, across the city development that is taking place. Though leaders are smart enough, but sometimes oversightedness happens. That has happened in case of Bombay Airport, that has happened in case of Chennai, that has happened in case of Kolkata. Though there are enough smart people, but let's do more and more natural resource conservation that was available within that portfolio. So that's the most simplest of advice as far as any kind of smart development is concerned. Beyond and besides this, as we spoke of, lighting efficiency matters because they are running for 10 hours in the night hours. Ensure that they are running on LEDs. Your municipality, sewage system, and water supply system should be running on efficient motors. As we said, 40% of energy saving is possible via these kind of motors. You become the change makers. You students can find an entrepreneurship opportunity working with the local governments out there.
Absolutely. So you're very well said that we, the generation, our younger generation especially, need to be educated, and we are the change makers. Sir. One last question, sir, that we would like to ask you, that how do you see renewable energy making an inroad in a city? And do you notice the areas that can be benefited or can get better with this usage?
Solar lighting has been there for the last 10-12 years in the mainframe, I would say, but no one is cleaning those modules. Unfortunately, we see solar on a red light being deployed, but unfortunately that solar module is that dirty that probably it is not intending the function that it was used for, or that it was made for. We need to ensure the efficient running of any appliance. That's the most important as far as these newer technologies are concerned. Resistance, negativity is the simplest thing that happens, as someone asked a question earlier also, that percolates quite easily because we haven't taken the correct approach towards it. Just imagine how many modules you have seen cleaned, or probably a person cleaning it. A panchayat level, there are solar based lighting system that have been deployed, but unfortunately they die out after 2 or 3 years because no one is putting water into the batteries. That was one among the most fundamental thing to do. Cleaning of module was something, a fundamental thing to do, to have that efficiently running module. That was something missing. Somewhere down the line we need to stand up. अपने लिए कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा, तभी तो हम आगे बढ़ पाएंगे.
Absolutely, so very well said. Thank you. We have Mr. Ashish Sharma who has raised his hand. I request Mr. Surinder to please unmute him. Please go ahead, Mr.
Can I proceed?
Please go ahead. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So my question to Mr. Bhavesh Swami is that there are more of entrepreneurs coming up into this field, but there are hesitations from the financial institutions to support them because they are not looking the profitability, because they are not aware whether this entrepreneurship or this kind of field will go forward or not. What will be the returns? So is there any program running at present which makes aware the financial institutions to support such kind of entrepreneurship coming into this sector?
Well, such an important question, sir. Please log on to website of SIDBI. They'll be more than happy to take things forward, whatever arena you are working in. They have been appointed nodal agency along with NABARD. NABARD is essentially doing rural financing, and SIDBI is doing financing in the urban pockets as well as industrial pockets. Please touch base with SIDBI. I'm so glad you asked this question. They'll be really happy to have financial institutions or financial portfolio taking these things. CAs are being trained. Just imagine a CA probably who doesn't understand even an XYZ of efficiency are being made aware of sustainable financing because they help an industry, because they help an person to turn renewable, to turn the profit margin that are probably coming in. And that's something we call IGDPR, investment grade detailed project report, that is being made by these small scale industries, by these large scale industries in terms of their investment portfolio. They'll be more than happy to answer you. And there is a lower rate of interest as well. So if interest of something like 7% is being offered, they are offering it at concessional financing, something in tune of 5.5 to 6%. Please touch base with them.
Ma'am, I have a supplementary question to this, if the sir can allow me to ask.
Sure, sir. Please go ahead.
Sir, you spoke about SIDBI and NABARD, but they have a limited scope. They are limited to certain sectors only. But what about the banks? Because these are more approachable to the institutions. Or if you talk about the new entrepreneurs who are coming up and who are not aware about the SIDBI schemes and the NABARD schemes. And so normally we see the banks as the first step to where the person go to have a funding or in the terms of loan or something. But what about when banks are not going to support such kind of entrepreneurs in this renewable energy sector or energy efficiency sector? There are n number of banks, but relying solely upon SIDBI and NABARD may not work out. This is my opinion.
I probably won't accept it wholeheartedly, sir, because we have been attending meetings where representation from SIDBI's headquarters is there, from Bank of Baroda is there, and they too are wary of this very aspect that we are not able to find customers onto that part. Another good thing that has channeled out just because of this very discussion that you spoke of, nowadays we have monthly EMI based investment also taking place. So someone is putting up a solar panel for you. They are not asking you for an upfront payment. They are asking for an EMI from your side. Whatever be the saving, let's share a percentage part of it along with guarantee of the system running. This we have tried out at some of the industries, have been quite successful as far as energy efficiency is concerned, and in terms of solar, this is working quite successfully down south. I'll be more than happy to connect with those entrepreneurs.
So you spoke about two things. The first thing that the SIDBI and NABARD are not getting customers. That's why I'm saying that the people are going directly to the banks. They are approaching them as the first financial institutions. They are not aware of the so somewhere SIDBI and NABARD are lacking into creating awareness of their schemes to the real customers. And second thing, you say that that someone is putting up solar panels and they are trying to get back the money as the EMI. So somebody that is who is the actual entrepreneur who is putting up money in setting up the solar panels installations at somebody's home, office, or some other complex. So from where that entrepreneur who is putting up the installations free of cost, where from he or she will get the money? That is the question, that from which financial institution should he or she approach beyond NABARD and SIDBI, because they are not creating awareness, as you said yourself.
Don't means at least I can make you touch base with the institution those are providing finance for the same, sir. Which city are based out of? Delhi. I'll make you touch base with the requisite bank or institution. I think you had a bad experience with some places. I feel
myself also, and there are multiple reports, newspaper reports.
Don't worry, sir. Don't worry. See, there are positives and negatives.
I'm talking about EVs, particularly EVs. That's why the EVs are having much higher cost than the commercial vehicles. Otherwise, they should have a much higher subsidy and much lower upfront pricing. So if you see that two-wheelers, they are costing around 1 lakh rupees, and another commercial vehicle which is coming around 50,000, 50% price. Why the people will go to the EV at a 1 lakh rupee or EV at 14 or 15 lakh? I talk about four-wheelers.
So the kind of example I spoke of Revolt as well as Ather, both are doing the same model. Both are having EMI options.
So you
and
know,
at the
Revolt and Ather, they are the entrepreneurs. They are doing for the customers. So, but this is seminars for the entrepreneurs. If I want to, if I wish to go into the entrepreneurship for an EV or a battery system for an EV, from where I will get the money? The banks are not supporting me. SIDBI and NABARD, I'm not aware about, as you said, they are not getting the customers just because they are not creating awareness, or somebody is lacking the awareness about such a scheme. So if I wish to enter into EV, for example, and I wish to set up a battery system, because battery is the most costliest thing in an EV. Apart, the rest of the things are mechanical and they are cheaper. So if I want to set up a charging system or replaceable or some kind of loan kind of system for the battery, from where I will get the money to set up such kind of system? The institutions are not backing me. They are not supporting me.
All right, Mr. Sharma, I think we understand it was quite an interesting conversation. As Mr. Swami said, you can touch base with him. He can share his email ID as well as his contact number.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing this concern in front of all of us, because this is awareness for us as well. Thank you so much. I think we're done with any more questions here. Thank you. We express a heartfelt gratitude to our keynote speaker, Mr. Bhavesh Swami, who shared his knowledge and wisdom in the virtual program on entrepreneurship opportunities in the energy sector while commemorating the National Energy Conservation Week 2021. I hope you all agree with me that it was indeed a privilege to listen to Mr. Swami and learn from it. Sir, thank you so much. And dear friends and professionals, an event like this requires meticulous planning and an eye for detail. So sincere thanks to our guide, Dr. Niyati Chitkara, Director, Chitkara International School, Dr. Sangeeta Pant, Dean, Chitkara College of Education, Chitkara University, Dr. Parul Sood, Assistant Dean, Chitkara College of Education, Chitkara University, Mr. Aditya Pundir, Director, India and South Asia at the Climate Reality Project, India, Mr. Vivek Trivedi, Founder, APSWGP, Dr. Sumit Arora, President, APSWGP, Mr. Hitesh Gulati, Honorable Director General, APSWGP, for their talent, advocating leadership, and empowering the team to execute the dialogue meticulously. A special thanks to the organizing team members, comprising of Dr. Pooja Singh and Mr. Surinder Kumar, for their remarkable efforts, in-depth planning and timely implementation of the virtual program on National Energy Conservation Week. Before we wind up, I would once again like to remind you to fill the feedback form which is in the chat box. And also heartiest gratitude and grand applause for all of you for showing your keen interest in this event, which none of us would have come this far. All participants, make sure to fill this form in the link shared in the chat box. Thank you once again to Mr. Swami, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks everyone for joining in. Indeed, Endeavor did. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.